Hi friends, this is Sarvajang here. Welcome to my networking channel. Hope all are doing good. And today the topic I am going to discuss about how to configure a IPv6 static routing in a Fortigate firewall. So as per the architecture, I connected three firewall 1, 2 and 3. So the firewall 1 and 2 connected by physical port 1 and firewall 2 and 3 are connected by physical port 2. Okay. So this port the thing interfaces 2001 colon 111. Okay, and this is in 2002 colon 111, this interface. Both these particular interface will be in a different subnet and these two interface will be in a different subnet. So the first and foremost thing, I will be configuring the each and every interface with the IPv6 address. Then I will be creating a policy for allowing the communication from port 1 to port 2 and port 2 to port 1. So that policy I am going to configure in the port 2 firewall, second firewall. Then I will be configuring a static route, that is a IPv6 static route to the remote destination network. So this firewall 1 is not aware of this network. So I'm going to create a static route from firewall 1 to the remote destination network. So the gateway will be this gateway. Okay. Similar way from firewall 3 I will be configuring a static route to the, that is a IPv6 static route to this remote destination network. So these are three things I'm going to do. The first and foremost thing, I am going to configure the each and every firewall with a directly connected IPv6 address. Okay. So let us go to the first firewall. Now let us configure the directly connected interface with the IPv6 address. So config system interface, edit port 1. Okay. So then we have to set the IPv6 address. Okay. So set, before that we have to configure config IPv6. Then we have to set the IPv6 address. 2001 colon 1111 colon 1/64. Okay, this is the interface address I'm assigning. Then we have to allow the ping access for this IPv6 address. So set IP6 allow access ping. Okay, so this is the first command. Just save the configuration because this particular firewall has only one directly connected interface. So this we have configured. So now we will switch to the second firewall and it has two directly connected interface. So let us configure those interfaces. Okay. So the second firewall, let us log in, admin and the password. So now let us configure the interfaces. Config system interface. First is port 1. Then let us configure the IPv6 address. Then we'll configure the address. Set IP6 address. Okay. Followed by this address, that is 2001 colon 111 colon 2. Okay. So 2001 colon 1111 colon 2/64. Then I have to allow the ping access, that is IP6. Set IP6 allow access ping. Okay. So let us save the configuration. So now let us go to the second interface, that is port 2. I have to configure with this IPv6 address. So config system interface, edit port 2. Okay, config IPv6. So this is a syntax for configuring the IPv6 address on this port 2. Config IPv6, then set IP6 address 2002 colon 1111 colon 1/64. Then let us allow the ping access. IP6 allow access ping. Okay. So now let us save the configuration. Now let us switch to the third firewall. It has one interface, that is 2002 colon 111. So this port is also port 2. Okay. So go to third firewall, login. Now let us configure the interface. Config system interface, port is port 2. Syntax for IPv6 config IPv6. Then set the IPv6 address. IP6 address 2002 colon 1111. Sorry, it is 111 colon 2/64. Then set IP6 allow access. I am allowing the ping access. Okay. So now let us save the configuration. So let us view the configuration. So system interface port 2. So now let us do a ping from to this remote interface, that is this interface. Let us do a remote ping. Then also from firewall 1, let us ping this remote interface. Okay, for checking the connectivity. So the command is execute ping 6. First let us ping this interface 2, and the second interface is 1, right? Remote interface 1, so I'm able to ping. Similar way, let us also do a ping from firewall 1 to this remote interface. Okay, for checking the connectivity, execute ping 6, and followed by this particular interface. Okay, first let us ping this, and the remote interface is 2. So I'm able to ping the remote interface. So now let us do a ping from this particular firewall this to this remote interface 2002:111. So I cannot ping that because we need a static route and a policy, okay, for allowing the communication. So 2002:111:1 I cannot ping. It is showing network unreachable. Because why? Because so two things are mandatory. First, I have to set a policy for there is an IPv6 policy I have to create for allowing the communication from this port 1 to port 2 and for port 2 to port 1. Then the third thing is we have to create a static route. So these two things are mandatory. So first let us configure the policy. Okay, so let us go to the firewall 2. I am going to create a policy in the firewall 2 for allowing this communication because this firewall 1 and firewall 3 in entirely different subnets. So I have to allow the policy. Okay, so let us go to firewall 2. So the command is config firewall policy. We have to add 6 because it's an IPv6 policy 6. Then I'm going to add a first entry, edit 1. So here we have to do set source interface. So the first parameter is source interface. So the source interface will be port 1, destination will be port 2. Okay, so port 1 and set destination interfaces port 2, then set the source address. So here I'm giving source address as all. So if you want to give specific address, you can give. I'm giving in this scenario all, and also we have to give the destination address all. Then we have to set the schedule. Schedule I'm giving always. So if you want to set a specific schedule, I can set schedule always. Then we have to set the service. Okay, service is ICMP service. Okay, so I'm going to give in this scenario all. Set service all, and set action should be accept. So all these parameters are mandatory for configuring a firewall policy for IPv6. Source interface, destination interface, and source address and the destination address I specified all. Then we have to set the schedule, that is always. Then the service we have to set. If you want to set a specific service like ICMP, we can set, and action should be accept. Okay. Now let us save the configuration. First we have created the policy for allowing the communication from port 1 to port 2. Now I'm going to add a second entry for allowing the communication from port 2 to port 1. Okay, so go to config firewall policy 6 edit 2. So this is the second entry I'm making, that is second rule, right? So set source interface should be port 2. First we have done from port 1 to port 2. So the remaining parameters are same. Destination interface is port 1. So all these parameters will be same. Okay, set source address is all, and set destination address is all, and set schedule should be always, and set service should be all, and set action is accept. Okay, so just I'm copying the same parameters. So these are the parameters mandatory for a policy to configure. So now let us save the configuration and let us view the policy. Show firewall policy 6. Okay, so now it has two policy. The first policy I have created from port 1 to port 2. So port 1 to port 2. Second policy is from port 2 to port 1. So the remaining thing I have given as all and all, right? Only thing I have to give set action as accept. Okay, so these are the things for creating the policy. So now let us do a ping to the remote interface. So still it is not reachable. Why? Because one more thing is pending. I have to create a IPv6 static route to the remote destination network with this as a gateway. How to create is go to the firewall 1. So the command is config router static 6. Since it's the IPv6, I have to use static 6. If it is the IPv4, it is static. Config router as static 6. Then make an entry. The first entry I'm giving. Okay, set destination network. So what is the destination network is 2001. Now we have to create a destination network. Okay, set destination at 2002:1111:/64 Then we have to give the gateway. So which gateway for reaching the destination network is, this is the gateway 2001 colon 1111 colon 2. This is a gateway. So then we have to set the status as enable. So this is not mandatory, but this is for enabling the IPv6 routing. Okay, so just enable the static route, then the device, set device, that is port 1. I hope you are following this. These are the parameters. So let us view the static route. Show router static 6. So what I have done is config router statistics. I have added a first entry. Destination is this destination network, and the gateway should be this gateway, and the device is port 1. Okay, these are the parameters. So now let us also create a static route from the firewall 3 to this remote destination network, right? So go to firewall 3 admin, and now let us create config router static, make a entry, then set the destination network. So what is the destination is 2001 colon 111, right? So 2001 colon 1111 colon slash 64, set the status as enable. I'm enabling the routing, and set the gateway. So for reaching this particular network, the gateway is this gateway. Okay, so 2002 colon 1111 colon 1. Then set the device. What is the device is port 2. Port 2. Then save the configuration. Okay, so now let us do a ping from this firewall 1 to the remote network and firewall 3 to this remote network. Okay, let us go here. So now let us do a ping. So this ping. So now I'm able to reach the particular network. These two are in different network. This is in 2001 and this is 2002. So I pinged this corresponding interface. I'm able to ping, and also let us ping this. I am able to reach from firewall 1. Similar way, from firewall 3, I should be in a position to reach this network. Let us go here, firewall 3, execute ping 6. Okay, the network is 2001 colon 111 colon 1. So I'm able to reach the remote destination network from firewall 1 and 3. That means the IPv6 static router is working properly. So what are the command to view the static routing table is, there are two commands are there. First is get router info6 routing table. So this will show the static route what you have created. This is a static route to the remote destination network, and this is the gateway. Similar way, from firewall 3, get router info6 routing table. So you're able to see the remote destination network via this is the gateway. And another command is get IPv6 route list. Okay, so that is diagnose IPv6 route list. So this also you can show the, it will show all the destination network. You are able to see, right? 2001 and 2002 you are able to see. So this is the way we can configure a IPv6 static route. So the main command is get router info6 routing type table is a command to view the static routing table, right? So you are able to see the directly connected interfaces and also the static route to the remote destination network, and this is the corresponding gateway and the device port 1. Okay, so what are things we have done is, first we have configured the directly connected interfaces on all this firewall, that is with IPv6 address. And the second thing, I have created two rules for IPv6 policy. Rule 1 is from port 1 to port 2 communication and port 2 to port 1 communication. So that policy I have created in the firewall 2. And the third thing is, I have created a IPv6 static route from firewall 1 to the remote destination network with this as a gateway, and firewall 3 to the remote destination network with this as a gateway. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos. Thanks and have a wonderful day. Thank you.